The Virgin Suicide film deals with 5 girls and other adolescents at different states of adolescence who grew up in an oppressive family and describe their interactions when they take her to the doctor after the youngest 13-year-old girl's first suicide attempt. The doctor shows Cecilia some pictures and asks her what the pictures mean. Although Cecilia always gives different answers to the doctor out of the way they appear. And the doctor says that when she talks to the girl's family, Cecilia didn't actually want to kill herself. And that it was a call for help. I agree with the doctor about this because her family has very strict rules, but there is one point that I find wrong. The doctor had not yet spoken or communicated with Cecilia. The doctor met with Cecilia once and make a diagnosis only after he showed her the pictures and sent the family away. I think a girl who tried to commit suicide doesn't take her situation very seriously. The doctor talked to Cecilia to let her parents know that it would be good for her to interact with the opposite sex without trying to figure out what the real problem was. He gives no warning to her family that Cecilia may attempt suicide again. A child from school is invited to dinner, and at this dinner, I saw that the family is a family that adheres to religious values. Later, her parents throw a party for their daughter and invite their boyfriends from school, but Cecilia never has fun and does not communicate with men at all. She then dies by committing suicide when she goes to her room. In the later scenes of the movie, the families in the neighborhood make inferences about the family in the of the girl who committed suicide. There are news on TV channels and then try to ask questions by visiting the family. The family is disturbed by this. These 4 girls attract the attention of teenagers in the neighborhood and their friends at school. Adolescents in the neighborhood find the diary of that girl and read it. These children try to understand the inner world of the girls by reading the diary. They want to know what they like, what they think, what they do, because they don't get the opportunity to meet and talk to them. The family has an authoritarian family style, a family that has rules and tries not to go beyond these rules. Girls are not in social situations. They cannot participate in any activities with their peers because their parents don't allow it. No circle of friends. They obey what their parents say. Lux, one of the girls, had to go out with all her siblings in order to go out with her boyfriend. Since his father was a teacher at the school and he would be under surveillance, his family gave permission. However, when Lux didn't return home on time, her family imposed a severe punishment and took all the girls from school. They didn't allow them to leave the house. They didn't leave the house for weeks and could not go to school. The family trashed Lux's rock album because the price said it is difficult for girls to experience emotional change as they enter puberty, and at the same time, with the oppressive attitude of their families, they sent out a cry for help to children in their neighborhood. They play meaningful songs to each other on the phone. It is a beacon of hope to these girls. But girls suffer from severe depression. To that of their the death of their youngest siblings set a bad example for them. They wanted to protect the tree on which their dead sisters' handprint was found because it was going to be cut down. But when the news reporter comes, they go home uncomfortably, and the tree is cut down. The boys want to take the lost girls and run away, but they find them all dead at home. The biggest reason for girls to commit suicide was that their families were authoritarian with strict rules. After Cecilia's death, the family didn't behave flexibly towards their other children. They don't care to be more careful. At the age of 14, Lux attempts to use drugs, smoking, and having frequent sexual intercourse also gave the signals of suicide. The family never tried to understand them. They didn't care about what they wanted or how they felt. Her family didn't show them enough love. The children in their neighborhood had many ideas about why they died, and they were very upset. And a separation film is a separation tells the story of an Iranian divorcing couple who are religious characters and their relationship with their grandfather's caregiver and family. They have an 11-year-old teenage daughter. Grandpa has Alzheimer's. The woman wants to get divorced and go abroad with her daughter because she thinks that her daughter will not be able to get a good education and grow up in good conditions where they are. But the man doesn't want to go because his father has Alzheimer's. She doesn't want to give up he doesn't want to give up her daughter either. The judge doesn't respect the woman's decision, even saying it is a small matter. That's why I think it's a patriarchal society as a culture. The judge's approach to the event from the point of view that divorce is unwarranted, except that the man doesn't pay the woman and beats her, basically sums up everything. I think that both sides don't approach each other with understanding within the framework of respect. They make no effort to understand and listen to each other and often have arguments. It is their 11-year-old daughters who are most affected by these discussions. The woman still leaves the house and hires a caregiver for the grandfather. The caregiver is a woman who wears a black each other and attached great importance to her religious beliefs. She has a little daughter and she has a scarf on her head. The caregiver doesn't want to touch grandfather who has Alzheimer's disease in any way due to her religious beliefs. The grandfather is in the late adult stage. He doesn't recognize his own family members and doesn't speak at all. I just think that Nadir had the momentary recollection as his wife grabbed his arm while leaving the house. Due to Alzheimer's disease, he has difficulty in taking care of himself or even cannot take care of himself at all. When grandpa gets his diaper dirty, the caregiver can't wash him and doesn't know what to do. For this, she calls the teacher and asks if it is right for him wash the man and him to wash the man. Later, she explains that she doesn't want to do this job anymore. And the caretaker woman tells her husband to tell her about the job, that she can do this job, but she doesn't want them to say what she did this job. I understood that she was afraid of her husband and was culturally afraid of her because she was working at a single man's house. When the caregiver's husband didn't come to work, the caretaker continued to work for a few days. Meanwhile, when the caregiver tied the Alzheimer's man and went out, when Nadir's son, grandfather's son, came home, he got very angry when he saw his father on the ground. When the man gets angry and pushes the woman, the event starts here and the woman has a miscarriage. But the man doesn't admit his guilt. He says that the caregiver didn't know she was pregnant, while both parties complain to each other. The caregiver's husband gets very angry. The judge wants to arrest the man, but the caregiver reports that she has been using medicine and has suffered from depression since he left his old job. From there, I realized that the man was having a midlife crisis. I understand that when the man was unfairly dismissed from his job, he experienced stress and got depressed. The caregiver says her husband is very irritable now, and the judge reverses his decision. Rare doesn't want to pay the bail money. On the one hand, Nadir's wife is worried about her daughter and says they have to pay this money. Because of these events, they are having arguments again. I saw that there was no love and intimacy in their marriage. According to Sternberg's theory of love, intimacy means a lack of love without passion and commitment. When I looked at the couples in the movie, I realized that these three components were missing. They have never been affectionate towards each other. The woman even talked to caregiver's husband about money without any communication with her husband. I realized that their respect for each other had also been lost. The woman thought that her husband was guilty without question. I think that as husband and wife, they don't approach each other with empathy. The truth was clarified by the nanny's rhetoric, and she said that she actually dropped her baby because she was hit by a car. Ray told her daughter that she knew the caregiver was actually pregnant, but was afraid of going to jail and leaving her alone. At the end of the movie, the couple divorced and their daughters were asked who she wanted to stay with. The girl was very upset and cried a lot because she always wanted her parents to reunite. She had said that if her father paid bail money, her mother would come home. But since she thought that her father was not guilty, she gave up on these decisions as well.